This is Punk Rock and Politics, and today's March 20th, 2018, and this is episode number 57. Let's do this.
These days are strange, it's true.
I would bomb the shit out of them.
If you think that punk rock doesn't mix with politics, you're wrong.
Welcome to Punk Rock and Politics. Today we'll be talking with singer-guitarist Theo Hirsch about the military-industrial complex, the corporate Democrats, and the homeless epidemic.
They keep them on the streets in order to scare the shit out of the middle class. And in order to keep us going to our jobs, keep showing up to our fucking jobs, because we do not want to be fucking homeless. Because when we see these homeless people on the street, it scares the shit out of us.
All that and more on today's episode. So let's get to the political mosh pit. But first, here's the news of the week.
Here's what's making news.
Former ExxonMobil CEO Rex Tillerson is out as Secretary of State, and President Trump has nominated CIA head and neocon Mike Pompeo to fill the position. And to fill Mike Pompeo's spot as head of the CIA will be Gina Haspel, who participated in waterboarding in black ops sites in Thailand in 2002. While Gina Haspel was in charge of the program, one prisoner was waterboarded over 83 times. This monster, Gina Haspel, also destroyed the video evidence showing the torture. But hey, if she becomes the next CIA director, she'll be the first female CIA director. So, yay progress? Here's Senator Rand Paul on Mike Pompeo and Gina Haspel's nominations.
With regard to the nomination of Gina Haspel, I am troubled by her participation in the Black Ops site in Thailand. The quote from one of the interrogators says that Gina Haspel said, "Good job. I like the way you're drooling." This is about Zubedee, who, as he was being waterboarded. It adds to the realism. I'm almost buying it. You wouldn't think a grown man would do that. When you read that, sort of the joyful glee at someone who's being tortured, I find it just amazing that anyone would consider having this woman at the head of the CIA. And so my opposition to her is over her direct participation in interrogation and her gleeful enjoyment at the suffering of someone being tortured. So my announcement today is that I will oppose both Pompeo's nomination and Haspel's nomination.
Western Pennsylvania's special election for a House seat goes to Democrat Connor Lamb. The district was previously held by Republicans and voted for President Trump by over 20%. Here's the newly elected House member, Connor Lamb.
Well, it took a little longer than we thought, but we did it. We talked to everyone. We invited everyone in, and we found that there is public support for programs like Social Security and Medicare that's nearly universal, because these programs are universal. They are America's way of saying we are all in this together. Our issue in this campaign is common ground. We fought to find common ground, and we found it almost everywhere. Democrats, Republicans, independents, each of us Americans.
Students participate in a nationwide school walkout in support of stricter gun laws following the Florida school shooting that left 17 dead. President Trump fired FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe only 2 days before he was set to retire. Thus, Andrew McCabe is getting no pension now. Just another story in the ongoing drama that is the Mueller investigation into the alleged Russian-Trump collusion during the 2016 election. And on this day in rock history, March 20th, 1982, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts started a 7-week run at #1 on the US singles chart with I Love Rock and Roll. And that's the news of the week. What is up, my fellow political junkies? You are in for a treat today. On today's episode of the Punk Rock and Politics podcast, we'll be talking with Theo Hirsch. Theo Hirsch is a guitarist, singer, songwriter, and he recently released an album called Too Punk for Punk. The album is a mix of acoustic ballad dedicated to Jesus' boyfriend and some punk guitar influences over some of the choruses, all the way to dance music and even some cool political clips intertwined within the music. The album is definitely one to check out. It won't keep you disappointed, and I will say it'll definitely keep you amused checking out all the awesome song titles. After reading some of those song titles, I realized I had to have Theo on the podcast for an interview. And not only because his album is so epic, but Theo Hirsch will also be playing the Punks and Politics show on May 4th at the Doll Hut in Anaheim, California. I honestly had no idea what to expect during the interview with Theo after listening to his music, but we were able to talk about some really important issues as Theo enjoyed a Bloody Mary as he was trying to recover from a hangover during our interview. But before we get to the interview with Theo Hirsch, let's check out one of his songs. Here's Take a Trump by Theo Hirsch.
I'm going to make America great again. Politicians aren't going to do that, and everybody takes me very seriously. When do we beat Mexico at the border? They're laughing at us, at our stupidity. They're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. Islamic terrorism is eating up large portions of the Middle East. I'm in competition with them. They took the oil we should have taken. I'm gonna bomb the shit out of them. It's true. I don't care. I don't care.
I have a great relationship with the blacks. I've always had a great relationship with the blacks.
For 30 years, America's been run by Clinton and Bush. By 2006, Americans were pissed off. So Obama's hope and change they pushed. With a black president, all's gonna change. Oh my God. Now wouldn't that just be wild? But identity politics don't understand. He was just a puppet and poster child. Multiple drone wars, more blacks in jail, and shipping out immigrants.
America is producing more oil
Obama
today.
sold out to big oil, Wall Street, and war, and is nowhere near legit. The DNC stole the primaries from a true and honest man.
He is
Because
exactly the
big
person
money,
who can
war,
go
and
to
power
rich business folks.
has always been the plan. So keep on watching establishment news like a retarded, mindless chump from years and years of brainwashed assholes like you. We now have this fascist orange buffoon named Trump. So swallow the system and shit it up your ass like a big smelly dump. A sticky pile of maggot infested and where they comes from. A horse is rum. A fake economy with digital numbers makes controls with plastic and gas you pump. An earth-raiding systematically racist system now run by an orange buffoon speeches. Clinton was selected, not elected, which is why Bernie Krats were so pissed. So you can call me sexist all you want, but she's an election stealing fucking bitch. So the DNC and Hillary point the finger at everyone and refuse to take the blame. A Trump presidency's your fault, Hillary, because it was Bernie that paved the way. Obama, Hillary, and the DNC served Trump the presidency on a silver platter and repealed habeas corpus, so we'd be better off with the Queen of Hearts and the Mad fucking Hatter. Obama, the well-spoken, good-looking, clean black president, fucked us like a cancerous lump. And now we have the system's true face, a tiny-handed freak named Donald J. Trump. So swallow the system and shit it out your ass like a big smelly dump. A sticky pile of maggot-infested manure that comes from a horse's rump. A big economy with digital numbers makes controls with plastic and gas you pump. An earth-raking, systematically racist system now run by a challenge for a rat named Trump. An evil Wall Street clown named Trump. When I shit, it's no longer number two. Now I take a Trump. I drink my coffee in the morning, and then I go take a Trump. This president's a result of an anti-democratic system. So flush the system down the toilet and take a Trump. Send the white racists back to Europe and take a Trump. Break down the wall, don't build, and take a Trump.
And that was Take a Trump by Theo Hirsch. And I have the one and the only Theo Hirsch here with me on the Punk Rock and Politics podcast. What's up, Theo? And thank you for joining us.
Oh, not much. I'm just having a Bloody Mary this Sunday morning, you know? Fucking hungover. These millennials are crazy. They come over. There's like 5 of them last night, right?
Uh-huh.
And they all want to have sex with me. And I'm just like, okay, there's 5 of you. I only have one. You guys know I only have one dick, right? Like, I don't know. It was just weird. These kids are crazy nowadays. They're like, they're multisexual. They want to fuck everything. It's crazy. It's amazing.
Oh, man. That's, well, you know. And you can have a Bloody Mary to recuperate from that, you know?
Anyway.
Awesome. Well, that was the most interesting intro ever, dude. Awesome. Theo, dude, you're gonna be playing a show with us coming up at May 4th at the Doll Hut, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. We're totally looking forward to that. So what do we have to expect from your live show?
Just radical shit, you know, like, I'm just going to be as radical as I possibly can and, you know, blow everybody away. I don't know. I'm going to, you know, I don't really like to hold back when I'm on stage because that's what the stage is for, you know, maintain your sanity. You know, I still have a day job. So, you know, when I do get the opportunity to play, I like to, you know, do as much as I can while I'm up there so I can advance, you know, in my career, my art career, music career. But, you know, I don't know. That's really tough. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of dedication, and I'll never give up on it. But
I'm expecting you're setting the bar pretty high for the live show, but I definitely don't think you're going to disappoint. And so the show is going to be, like we said before on the Punk Rock and Politics podcast, it's going to be Punks in Politics on May 4th at the Doll Hut in Anaheim, California. Theo Hirsch is one of the artists that's going to be playing. And I definitely say, man, just from listening to some of these songs, like Take a Trump, and then later we're going to play Jesus Christ Boyfriend. Some of these songs, man, they're just crazy. I'm really excited to see them live or hear them live and, you know, see you play live. So I'm definitely looking forward to the show on May 4th.
Right. Hey, I saw the thing is, I saw you're on, normally when I see events, I'm not really attracted to the name immediately, but I saw the punk in politics, and I really like that because that's what punk was for, is to rail against the system. That's what the punk was invented for. And I don't see enough punk rockers doing that nowadays. I think they kind of, become a bunch of, I mean, not all, I shouldn't say all. I just feel like the industry ruins everything pure, like capitalism ruins everything pure.
God,
so
yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before on the podcast, how it's kind of like a lot of the bands will be anarchist, anti-capitalist, but then they'll go and be playing Warped Tour on the Vans Warped Tour stage or whatever.
Right.
So, and then, but also you can't begrudge a band for getting famous and making money. So it's kind of it's that double-edged sword. But I totally agree, man. Capitalism, totally, it kind of, it distorts things. But then also the other side would kind of argue it, capitalism gets people motivated in order to make money and want to work harder and achieve the American dream, and that's why we have Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and blah blah blah.
Totally.
Totally. So I get both sides, but yeah, I agree with you, and that's kind of why I did the Punk Rock and Politics podcast, the name,
right?
And because, like you said, it is all about railing against the system, and it is interesting though. Once I started doing the show, to see how diverse the political spectrum within this music genre punk is.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Let's keep going riffing on that in a minute. But all these songs that we're playing today are off of your brand new album, Too Punk for Punk. Speaking about punk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that album is just nuts, dude. The cover, I was fucking cracking up for like 10 minutes. I'm not even joking. I'm not even lying. It was like
No, the cover's amazing. Like the artist did an amazing job on this cover. Like when he sent me the cover, I was kind of disturbed, like, because I was looking at all the little, because he has a little image for each each title has its own little image on the back of the cover.
Oh, okay.
And I was just kind of looking at it, sort of disturbed, on some. He did a great job,
Yeah, you have you and your little mini you on the cover, and it's like 80s retro or new 80s style. It's fucking hilarious, man. So yeah, definitely all these songs are off of the new album, Too Punk for Punk. To kick this off, what song are you going to be playing, man?
It's about being and that's why I was reminded of because the minute I said male-identified lesbian, I actually had a male-identified lesbian in my house last night. That's why I thought of that, that's why I brought that up. No, it's like being like, I'm obviously not a transsexual. I wouldn't do such a thing. But it's about feeling like a woman inside, like inside you feel kind of femmy. You feel kind of like sort of, and not that I'm multisexual. I like women, but like I'm open to, other people's sexuality. But I do feel like a lesbian inside most of the time, I'd have to say.
Well, that's good. In today's society, you have to embrace everyone, and the gender neutral and all the 2,000 different genders there are. So that's good, dude. That's very progressive of you.
Wait, 2000? When did this happen?
Yeah, you didn't know. You didn't know. There's got to be like there's 2,000 genders now, according to the internet, essentially.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit! What the fuck is?
At least, and it's growing every day. So it's good that you can identify as a male. Male gender with a sexuality, lesbian sexuality. That's what it would be.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah.
Right. And so I wrote this song, and it's called Clit and Pussy, and you'd have to just listen to the lyrics because I don't know. It's kind of crass, but I don't give a shit. Like, people do get offended when I sing a lot of these songs. They do get offended, and it's kind of, which I find kind of like, I don't know. I don't understand. Or people getting offended.
If your art isn't offending people, like, what are you doing? I mean,
true.
Other than if you're selling stuff, if you're selling it, then I guess that's cool too. But
right. Mm-hmm.
But hey, if you're not selling your art and you're not offending people, then what the fuck are you doing?
I don't know. Well, no, that's what I always ask. Well, not just offending people, or at least like saying something outside of the norm, or instead of like, a lot of people like to cater to people in order to make them feel nice inside and all that stuff, which I do too. I mean, I do play cover songs. I love playing like a Pink Floyd cover, or even a Cranberries cover, or a Led Zeppelin cover, or some kind of AC/DC, shit like that, and that gets people excited. When you start busting out those kind of songs, they get like really happy. But then you got to come back and say, "Okay, guys, here comes one of my originals," and then people literally, they're like, "Wait, what the fuck's going on here?" Ready for this? Okay, this song's called "Clit and Pussy."
And that was Clit and Pussy. All right, man. I loved it, dude. Well, I'm speechless after that one.
Speechless? Okay.
Yeah, great. All your songs, man. They're it's definitely fucking original, and that's I enjoy that,
Right.
Yes. All right. Well, hey, let's get to the political mosh pit, dude.
Okay.
And I heard you were talking about a lot of you were doing a Facebook, like a live feed. And you're talking about the military-industrial complex and how, this recent budget was passed, and Trump basically gave them, what was it, $100 billion more than they asked for.
Right. Actually, the corporate Democrats approved.
Yeah.
I don't know all the exact details, but they approved more than what Trump actually wanted. Like the corporate Democrats, when they attack Trump, they attack him from a right wing perspective. Kind of, oh, you're not militaristic enough. They want him to be more militaristic because they're all sold out to the military industrial complex. So.
Yeah. But it was kind of like recently, because the Democratic Party hasn't always been, this like party of war, or, they used to be the anti-war party just, at least like 10 years ago or so. I mean, Obama really ran on, in 2008, closing Guantanamo Bay, which, he didn't do. Ending the Iraq War, which, he did kind of do in a way.
He didn't. He really didn't.
He quote unquote ended the war, but that's the same thing. Look at the Korean War. We quote unquote ended the Korean War. It didn't end. There was armistice, and we prolonged it from going. Like we didn't win, but it quote unquote ended. But I think it's this illusion of it being over. This illusion of a war that's going on, and we've been doing it for 18 years.
Right. I mean, no. Right now we're occupying with it. Trump just went into some African country. I don't know. Is it Somalia? He might have gone to Somalia.
Yeah. Well,
so now we're
droning them forever.
That's fucking bullshit. And so it's just like, where are we in? We're in Syria. Mm-hmm. We're in Afghanistan. We're in Iraq. We're in Yemen. We are supporting a woman-hating theocracy that is keeping provisions and food from the people and killing children every day. Children are dying. So then Yemen, and then what else? That's 4. I'm missing like 3 more.
Did you say Iraq?
I don't know if I said Iraq. Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Yemen. I don't know. There's so many you can't keep track of them all. But 7 trillion. That's 7 trillion over what has it been? 18 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we can't afford universal medical or what's the other thing? Free college. We can't afford to build up our infrastructure or anything like that.
Yeah, like a tuition-free college. And especially when this is happening, when in Florida there was that bridge that just collapsed. It was like a pedestrian bridge, and this thing essentially collapsed. It was a brand new bridge, but it's not like it was an older bridge, but still it kind of goes and underscores this whole idea that, like you're saying, we could spend trillions of dollars on war, but when it comes to education, healthcare, infrastructure, we can't spend money. We can't pony up money. But they could pass tax cuts.
Let's go. Oh, let's invade Somalia. How are you going to pay for it? Oh. You never hear that. You'll never hear that on MSNBC.
No. But this is the interesting thing. Like, where I was going, Obama really ran in 2008 on the anti-war platform. John McCain, he was warning Russia's our new enemy because of the bullshit that was going on in Georgia. And then even it was Mitt Romney and Sarah Palin who's saying, she was saying, I could see Russia from my house. Mitt Romney in 2012 was saying, Russia's our new enemy, and Obama laughed him off. It was, Russia's not our enemy. So this is where I'm like, is this Russia our enemy thing only because of Hillary losing the election, or is there something deeper to this? Because I love asking. Everyone has such differing opinions.
There's nothing deeper. All it is a fucking smokescreen. And Russia doesn't have dick to do with shit, okay? Mm-hmm. They're just pissed off because they lost the election to a fucking orange clown game show host. And so now they have to fucking, they lost to Trump. So now they're trying to divert everyone's attention away from the fact that they lost to Trump. Hillary lost to Trump. Mm-hmm. And when you lose this, and because Obama did such a shitty job and didn't follow through with anything he said he was going to do. Mm-hmm. So, I shouldn't say that. He did what he could for what the position he was in, I think, a lot of times. but overall he was pretty weak.
Yes.
And everybody's pissed off. Everybody's pissed off at him. That's why no one voted. Half the country didn't fucking vote.
Yeah, in 2016, you mean? Half the country didn't vote. So, but the thing with Russia, I'm pretty sure they had, the Internet Research Agency or whatever, their meme farm, the troll farm or whatever. Like, I'm sure they do that. But here's the thing no one wants to talk about it was David Brock. He had a whole correct the record. He had a super PAC that was basically paying people to do positive stories on Hillary Clinton in 2016, which is essentially the same exact thing we're accusing Russia of doing.
Right.
So, I'm sure Russia did do some covert bullshit, but it's like, dude, to blame everything on them, really, it's crazy.
So Russia can't post a few memes online, but we can go in and topple dictators. Yeah.
Exactly. I know. Isn't it fucking nuts?
Fucking, and people believe it. People just go right along with this narrative like it's relevant when it's totally fucking not.
But if you question this narrative, then all of a sudden you're either a Russian conspirator or a Russian bot or, Russian agent. Okay, have you heard, speaking of, let's keep going on all those Russia stuff. Have you heard of what happened in the UK with the former spy who was killed?
Yes, I heard about that, yes.
So all the mainstream media totally jumped to the conclusion Russia did it. Theresa May even came out and was like, oh, Russia did it. And the only person, Jeremy Corbyn, had to come out and actually say, whoa, let's let everything go through and let's see. But here's the thing. Whenever a chemical agent is used in some sort of attack like that, the country has to send the chemical agent back to the other country. And the UK hasn't sent that chemical agent back to Russia for Russia to evaluate it, because basically both countries need to evaluate it, to say that's just the code of ethics, and they haven't done that. And it's just so crazy because they haven't investigated it. They just simply jumped straight to, oh, it was Russia who did this. It reminds me of the
they're not even journalists. Yeah. They're propaganda agents. Mm-hmm. That's all they do. They don't actually look into anything. They immediately run to the Russia narrative or to any corporate talking point they can find, any right wing corporate talking point. The left. There's no left in America. Mm-hmm. What we have these hardcore, crazy ass warmonger Republicans, and then we have corporate Democrats who are just slightly to the left on social issues. Mm-hmm. And not even that, like fucking Chuck Schumer, that guy's a fucking Republican. Yeah, well, so is Nancy Pelosi.
No, but here's the thing. I'm so happy you just brought up Pelosi. Have you heard about the congressional race in, what was it, Pennsylvania, right? It was Western Pennsylvania.
I think so.
It was Connor Lamb. He won. He's a total moderate Democrat, but his whole pitch was, I'm not gonna go with the radical liberal Nancy Pelosi. I'm not gonna side with the radical liberal Nancy. That was his thing. Yeah. So and he had a commercial with him shooting a gun and stuff, and he's like, he's like, I personally am pro-life, but I vote pro-choice, But this is the narrative that it's like, what the fuck, dude? Nancy Pelosi, like you're just saying, she's basically like, she's like a Republican. She's like a centrist Republican, essentially.
Like, okay, check this out. The military budget of the United States for the 2009 fiscal year was $515 billion. And then they added emergency discretionary spending and supplemental spending, brings this sum to $651 billion. And since 2009, they've upped it another $100 billion.
Oh, since 2009. That's
annually. And that's
annually.
Annually. And that's Nancy Pelosi right there. She is all about this shit.
Oh yeah, she did that in 2009.
And she's the radical.
Here's the thing about the Democrats in 2006, once they won the House and the Senate back, they completely capitulated with Bush, with the war in Iraq, and with the more tax cuts and just everything. They completely went along with him, and they didn't fight him at all.
No, not a bit.
Yeah.
Hillary is all about that shit, and that's why Hillary lost, because she was for the war in Iraq, and she'd try to say, oh, well, because when Bernie would call her out, he'd be like, well, you fucking voted for the Iraq war. What are you talking about, bitch? Like, you're not for the people.
And that's what hurt her in 2006 or 2008. Also, is the Iraq war, because Obama didn't vote for it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then Obama just turned around and started droning the shit out of the Middle East and up 2 wars to 7. So
yes, exactly.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. George Bush really started this. Obama kind of lifted it off, and now Trump is escalating it. And this is a great segue into this. Is now we have Rex Tillerson is out, and they're putting Mike Pompeo in, the evangelical neocon. And then
is he like the CIA? What was he? The CIA director or something?
CIA. But he basically is under the impression, under the thought, he thinks all Muslims are under like a radical Islamic jihad war. He thinks this is like a crusade type shit. Like he's hardcore neocon religious. And then the Gina, whoever I forgot her last name. She
fucking mess.
Yeah, she performed torture on dozens of people in the Philippines, I believe, on a black ops place, and she even destroyed the tapes that showed her performing torture. And she's now going to be the head of the CIA. So Trump, who's going to drain the swamp, now he's bringing all these fucking neocons that should have been arrested as well.
But you got to realize though that the corporate Democrats aren't doing anything to stop this. They're not an opposition party.
We'll see. If the corporate Democrats, obviously you're going to have like Bernie Sanders, Kristen Gillibrand. You're going to have a handful of Democrats who are totally going to oppose Mike Pompeo and just Gina. They're going to oppose them, but. If any Democrats do vote for Mike Pompeo going in, even Rand Paul came out and said, no way, I'm not supporting him. You know, it's like, it is crazy. I have more.
And it's funny though, how like Rand Paul though, it's almost like he's, I don't know.
He has more intellectual honesty.
Yeah, pretty much any, he's more intellectual. He's way better than any corporate Democrat could ever be.
Oh, I know. It's horrible. And you know, I respect Rand.
He's a right winger though.
But at least he does what he says and he says what he does. You know,
right. And it's amazing how much better he is than any Democrat except for Bernie. You know,
I mean,
Bernie's not even a Democrat; he's an independent. But
yeah, and he's been pulling the entire party to the left, which is great. It's great, but it's a civil war that's going on in the party, which is really interesting. Yeah, so it's really horrible because you have these Democrats like Connor Lamb, and then you have the corporate Democrats, but they're trying to run away from them. So we'll see with Mike Pompeo, and because
it's kind of scary. It's not.
Yeah, because I mean, at least with Rex Tillerson, how fucking crazy is it now? Rex Tillerson, we're like, oh man, I really wish the Rex Tillerson was back in instead of Mike Pompeo. The ex-CEO of ExxonMobil.
Jesus Christ! Oh, and by the way, nobody's been bitching about the gas prices. By the way, they're at like $3.50 a gallon here in Southern California. Nobody's been bitching about it ever since Trump got into office. They went up like fucking 70 cents. Mm-hmm. So. By the way, just throwing that out there.
Well, here in California, some of that on the 1st was a new tax for like green emissions. But oil's gone up a little bit. But nationally,
I see.
I think it's down. Yeah, it was mainly only here in California because it was a green emissions tax. It was like 11 or 12 cents.
Oh, I gotcha.
But overall, oil is up, I think like $60, $80 a barrel. But that also goes... this speculation with Trump, his election with the stock market. You saw the Trump bump. The stock market, it surged like 10,000 points or something just because Trump got elected, and they're, he's going to do a lot of good stuff for business. And I think now you kind of, on the economy, you see that cooling off. I mean, I'm sure you've already noticed.
Yes.
Kind of the economy, because I was reading the other day. They just released the numbers. It's 3 straight months that retail sales have been down, and because you hear on the news, the corporate media, like you were saying, you know, they tell us, oh, the economy's doing great. Look how high the stock market is. This is doing great. But, you know, for normal average people, it doesn't feel like the economy is doing great.
No, it's not, because it's a trickle up economy.
Yeah,
it's all the money goes to the super rich and this corporate America, and while the rest of us are fighting over scraps. I mean, it's just how it's been for years and years. It's been this way. Okay, here's what I've got. I've got this little it's a, what do you call it? A pie chart. Okay, and it says President's proposed discretionary spending fiscal year of 2015. Right. So that would have been Obama.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got food and agriculture, something that's highly important, 1%. Transportation, 2%. Science, 3%. International affairs, 3%. Energy and environment, 3%. Yeah, energy and environment is highly important. Social security, unemployment, and labor, 5%. Medicare and health, 5%, because all the money goes to the fucking insurance industry and not to the actual people. It should be like 20% on Medicare and health, 20% on whatever. I'll just shut up. Housing and community, 5%. Government, 6%. Veterans benefits, 6%, which is actually quite a bit, but they don't see a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure where that money's going. If they're doing 6% for veterans benefits, and why are there so many homeless fucking veterans?
Yeah, bureaucracy in the VA.
Jesus Christ, it's fucking moronic. Education, 6%. Military, 55%. And now I think it's bumped up to 60.
Yeah. Well, it's America, the U.S., we spend more on our military than the next 10 countries below us combined. And 9 of those countries, other than China, are our allies. So essentially, you know, it's kind of like the same because they're either in NATO or we have some sort of alliance with them. So yeah, the amount that we spend on the military is just insane because it's almost kind of to the point where what else does our economy have to offer? Nothing. I mean, we have Raytheon and Boeing. We make bombs and jets.
Well, we make office cubicles. I mean, that's the industry I'm in. I'm in the like used cubicle industry where we resize. So we make a lot of cubicles because we want to entrap fucking sheep and fucking corporate sheep in their cages.
Well, but a lot of even those jobs, I mean, they got that typical corporate, you know, office job. Is it really on the rise that much? Because hasn't there been a lot of outsourcing of those jobs? You know?
I mean, well, you have companies like Google and like these really big corporations, and they're still around, you know, and we manufacture a lot of like, you know, kind of furniture and stuff like that for these corporations. You know, we do, I mean, there's still an economy in here, but the main thing is weapons contracts. That's the big thing in this country. Weapons contracts and what do you call it when you go into a country? Build it?
Yes, the rebuilding essentially. Yeah, because you'd have.
What do you call that? Oh, there's a word for it.
Oh, jeez. Oh, I don't. Well, because you'd have essentially like Halliburton and KBR and a lot of these other corporations who are subsidiaries of other corporations who are doing the bombings. Then they'll go in and do the rebuilding of the country that we just bombed or destroyed. But it's also within our own country. It's also within our own country with, you know, Hurricane Sandy or, you know, big earthquakes. It's always, you know, especially with Hurricane Katrina also, you know, a lot of the lower Ninth Ward, a lot of the places that were really affected hit really bad. They don't go in and fix those areas up, but the downtown or, you know, the main Mardi Gras area, that's revitalized and totally rebuilt. So, and look at Puerto Rico, like a lot of people there still don't have power and they're American citizens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a Trump thing though. I mean, if it was Obama, that would be, I mean, I guess I could say that for, I guess I could say that for Obama. If him or Hillary were in office, they would probably do something about the Puerto Rico situation.
Yeah, how crazy is that? Why haven't the capitalists been like, let's go into Puerto Rico and drop a bunch of money and revitalize it, and then we could have tourism, and then we could flip all this.
I don't know.
Why the fuck don't It's crazy, and the news isn't talking about Puerto Rico. I don't understand. We'll go into any other country, like you're saying. We'll go bomb the shit out of Afghanistan, and then rebuild a bunch of roads in like a small little province out in the middle of nowhere. That maybe 100 people will use this road tops, but we won't go and rebuild Puerto Rico, which has no power, and they're American citizens.
And Flint, Michigan, still has fucking.
Thank you. Yes, you're right. Thank you for mentioning Flint. There's a dude on Facebook where all he does, he live streams, and all he does is just drive around, not just Flint, but all around. I think it's Detroit, actually, mainly. And he just has food and blankets and gear in his car. He just drives around Detroit and hands it out. But he live streams himself driving. It's really, really cool. And then people see that he's doing it, and then they donate more to him. But you're located here in California. Let's kind of one more issue before you kind of wrap it up. Like going on this is the homeless issue, man. Like because out there in Detroit it's really bad, and then out here in San Diego, and I know up there in LA it's and that's also another thing about the economy. They say, oh, we have so much jobs, the unemployment rate is this low, but then there's tents with people living in them.
Right. I mean, and not to mention it costs less money. There was that article in Florida, how it costs $30,000 a year to have a homeless person in Florida. But if you were to actually give them a house, and this is the whole George Carlin philosophy, is what these people need is tangible fucking houses. A home is an abstract idea, right? Yeah. So, and they're just what they do is they keep them on the streets in order to scare the shit out of the middle class, and in order to keep us going to our jobs, keep showing up to our fucking jobs, because we do not want to be fucking homeless, because when we see these homeless people on the street, it scares the shit out of us, because and we're not doing anything about it because we are all in our individual lives. We're all kind of, there's no community, no unification. We all want to have our children and our wives and everything else, and instead of having a community of people that work together and actually get shit done, So, but we're all separated from the family unit, in a lot of respects, in my opinion, which. Yeah, I can get into reproduction, which I don't want to get into because I have a daughter.
That's a whole nother part. Hey, maybe we could put that up for a topic on the next issue. But you're right. It's so crazy how I never really thought about that they kind of, let's keep a little bit of amount of people homeless, to keep them scared. Because also down here, one of their new tactics is that they ticket people. And then I was reading on an article that they had, the news was saying, the local news, they were saying how the police, they actually threw a tent into the garbage, like the garbage truck, right? And the garbage truck was going to smash the tent, but someone was screaming and moving, and they had to let the guy out, and they said the person wandered away before they could take a statement and this and that. So the news was like, if anyone has any information on how to find this homeless person, we need to get a statement from them. I'm like, how the fuck could a police officer pick up a tent, throw it into a garbage truck, and oh, there's a person in there? Oh, I didn't even know. And, needless, and that doesn't even, not even saying, dude, this like these people picking up these people's houses and throwing them into a garbage truck. But
totally.
Someone's inside of it. How fucking pissed would you be if someone picked up your house with you in it and threw it in a garbage truck? That made me
and that's how they view, these people as garbage, I mean, really. And again, it only costs about $10,000 a year to house a person. It costs $30,000 a year to put them on the street.
Mm-hmm. Or if they're in jail, or if they end up going into jail, then it costs even more. Yeah.
Right, that's the thing, because they get tickets. You're like you said, they got ticketed. They take that, and then the police throw away their goods. That costs money. Then that money's got to come from somewhere. Every time a policeman throws away their fucking tent, they got to go buy a new one, and that money comes out of your pocket because we give money away to the homeless all the time. I do a lot of times.
People who donated that tent, they donated that tent in expectation that someone's going to use it.
Right. And then of course you have the prison system, so you got to pay for every time they go to jail. So the prison system makes their 70 billion a year. And then just all the things, the medical treatment that you have to have for homeless people costs a fucking enormous fortune. Every time they go to the emergency room, that comes out of your pocket. Exactly. All these things add up to have homeless people, but since it's part of this the capitalist system that we've created in this, and this is not capitalism. This is like an oligarchic, psychotic regime,
it's like
of corporate
neo-feudalism almost, with corporations. Yeah. Because we become almost serf. It's almost a serfdom. It's getting to that point, where,
totally.
Yeah. So it's terrifying. And that really is such a good point. I think you hit on with the keeping homeless people in order to get people to fear. Because if it was available that you could just go live out in some tiny home in some community for free, how many people would be like, you know what? Fuck that. I hate my job. Why am I working my ass off to live in a house that's a little bit bigger than the tiny home? I'm going to go live in the tiny home. I think that's what the capitalists and the oligarchy and the elite, the 1%, whatever you want to call them, I think that's what they fear.
Right. They don't want people. Well, and the thing is, sooner or later, you got to get rid of a lot of these pointless jobs. You can't just keep doing pointless jobs forever that fucking create plastic that fucking goes to the ocean and makes this giant fucking island as big as Texas. It's like sooner or later, people just need to stop working. You can't always there needs to be some kind of social benefits for everybody to where people do a certain amount of work that is actually necessary, like in the energy industry or the hemp industry, or some kind of like something that's actually helping to clean up the situation sooner or later. We got to have some kind of social unification where people actually have a place to fucking live, and then they can do a productive job that actually has meaning for the future benefits of children and whatever, and for the earth and for the ocean and for animals and nature and everything, we got to change something here. It's all fucked.
You're so right, man. The plastic, dude. Plastic. It's so horrible, and it's just like I even do it, and I get pissed when I do it. I try not to. Whenever I can bring my own stuff to recycle or to use it again, I'll bring my own plastic gear. I'll use it again, or I'll bring my own cup. But sometimes you have to use their cup, and you use it once, and then you got to throw it in the recycling bin. But even then, recycling it takes a lot of energy, and that's still, which, isn't clean. And a lot of the stuff that gets recycled doesn't even get recycled. So you're right, man. We got to just change how our system works in the mind state.
And in general, it just needs a whole, like Jill Stein. She had the Green New Deal where she's going to create a bunch of jobs that are actually relevant.
Yes.
Instead of all these irrelevant bullshit plastic doohickey jobs, whatever the fuck they are.
Kind of like Trump. I'm gonna bring back the coal jobs.
Right.
Coal back. It's like, fuck it, dude. We don't want coal. All right, man. Well, hey, dude, it was so fucking awesome having you on the podcast, dude. But before I let you go, where can everyone find all of your music online?
Just Google Theo Hirsch, Hirsch. I'm on Bandcamp. I'm going to be on iTunes soon. Now that you mentioned it, I forgot I got to put all my shit on iTunes, but it's not on there yet. Nice. Or you can just go to theohirsch.com. Cool. And you can buy a Jesus Christ Boyfriend t-shirt. You can Google Jesus Christ's with an apostrophe S boyfriend, and my music video will come right up. You can watch that. Or just Google me, Theo Hirsch. Yeah.
Nice. And if you are in the Southern California, Anaheim area, don't forget on May 4th, we're going to be doing the live show, The Punk in Politics. Theo Hirsch is going to be there. 390 is going to be there. Whining Pussies and a bunch of other fucking awesome bands. So
Whining Pussies, that's a great name.
Oh, dude, you and them, I'm going to have you and them on the podcast really quick, and we're going to talk, because they have a song that's called Facebook is an Asshole. It's really funny. Their music video for their Facebook is an Asshole it's great, like the dude who did it. But yeah, I got to get you guys talking about how shitty Facebook and social media is on the episode, because I'll be at the show too doing a recording of the podcast. We'll do more interviews. We'll do some live streaming. It's going to be a full-on party. Remember, May 4th at the Doll Hut in Anaheim. Come down. I'm expecting a fucking awesome show from you.
Oh, hell yes. It's going to be great from everybody. Sounds like we got some good bands coming, so that's good.
It's a great lineup, and we have a lot more big bands to announce soon. So thanks again, Theo, for coming on the Punk Rock and Politics podcast. We'll be talking to you a lot more soon.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome, dude.
Here's Jesus Christ Boyfriend by Theo Hirsch.
There was a man in Jerusalem many years ago. People always say that he's the guy to get to know. They praise and love and worship him, then chant his mighty name, then say that it's a biblical sin to use his name in vain. Many use his name to get power and get rich. They cheat and lie and brainwash people, then feed them full of shit. Real men love Jesus, and Jesus saves. He's not of this world. He can even cure your AIDS. But as many of you may know, I too am fond of Jesus. He has even filled my ass with his holy erect penis. But after seeing him for 3 years or so now, I finally asked him if he would be mine. Me and Jesus Christ until the end of time. 'Cause I'm Jesus Christ's boyfriend. I'm Jesus Christ's boyfriend till the end. I really love my Savior, I would never pretend. 'Cause I'm Jesus Christ's boyfriend. I'm Jesus Christ's boyfriend. His line truth I will always defend. 'Cause Jesus Christ is my boyfriend until the end. We've been together so long now, on each other we depend. 'Cause Jesus Christ is my boyfriend. No one in the universe gives loving like JC. He sucks and fucks so wonderfully, and he truly does love me. He gives me flowers and writes me poems, then whispers innuendos very naughty. God damn, Jesus, you're fucking hot. I love your ass and your whole body. Then when he comes home from work all day, he stays over for the night. We laugh and joke and get along, then we never ever fight. I oil him up with KY, then stroke his godly schlong. God damn, the Lord of Hosts has girth, and that thing is fucking long. And I know this, 'cause I'm Jesus Christ's boyfriend. Quality time together we spend. I love to fuck my Savior in his holy rear end. 'Cause I'm Jesus Christ's boyfriend. I'm Jesus Christ's boyfriend. His line truth I will always defend. 'Cause Jesus Christ is my boyfriend until the end. Our love for each other I will always defend. 'Cause Jesus Christ is my boyfriend. No one in the universe loves Jesus like I do. If real men love Jesus, what does that make the guy that Jesus screws? We have more chemistry than anyone in the universe. Me and Jesus Christ have better sex than any human being on earth. So when you talk about how much you love the Savior of humanity, remember Theo Hirsch and his boyfriend for eternity. Don't get your hopes up, we won't be breaking up anytime soon. Just think of me and Jesus Christ in bed doing the spoon. 'Cause I'm Jesus Christ's boyfriend. I'm Jesus Christ's boyfriend till the end. I really love my Savior, I would never pretend. 'Cause I'm Jesus Christ's boyfriend. I'm Jesus Christ's boyfriend. His line
said that Jesus Christ is my boyfriend.
Thanks for checking out Punk Rock and Politics. If you enjoyed the show and the information brought to you, please subscribe and share the podcast. It helps us here at Punk Rock and Politics, but more importantly, it helps the featured bands gain exposure. Also, if you know any bands or musicians who would like to join the political mosh pit and have their music featured on the Punk Rock and Politics podcast, please email us at punkrockandpolitics@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. And rock on, political junkies.
I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives.
Doing a better job of talking to each other. The left hand now knows what the right hand is doing.
Look at those hands. Are they small hands? And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it. All right.